The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Rivers in rural areas were on fire because of corporations poisoning the people who lived in those areas. Poor middle-class communities getting poisoned and dumped on by corporations like Deloitte and 3M.
There's no better place on this planet than to be watching the World Cup than here in New York City, because we have every community around the globe represented. Think about the Ecuadorian community in Jackson Heights, what this means to them. The Senegalese community in Harlem, the Haitian community in Flatbush. This is everything to them. It's going to lift them out of their day-to-day experiences and transport them to a place of unity and excitement shared by billions across the globe. So I want to say, New York isn't just hosting the World Cup. New York is the World Cup.
For me, I'm like, wait a minute now. I am one of the 535 most powerful people in this country, and for some reason you think we on the same level, but you're gonna disrespect me? Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, I'm not gonna happen.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at her, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Good morning, America. How are you? I am Rabbi Dave, and I want to be absolutely clear about this. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. That said, ...
Good morning, America. I am Friar Rod, and I am not usually a conspiracy theorist, but I'll give them room to just settle.
I hate that. I hate that. Yeah. The problem is we give these people too much room, and because we give them too much room, that's how all this stuff takes off. You know, that's how you get these people that are still convinced that chemtrails are real, that we didn't go to the moon, that the Earth is flat. Of course, my Earth
that
flat.
Epstein killed himself.
Yeah. All right. My flat Earth theory remains in place, which is that there are no actual flat Earthers. They're just people who are pretending so that they can be interesting at parties. But the rest of it, there are people out there.
There was at least one flat Earther that was a believer.
Well, he died a believer. All that said, if the most recent attempt on President Trump's life was not a staged false flag episode, what would they have done differently?
I don't know, because...
Oh, come on now. Use the answer you used the other day. No, don't. But
no, I'm just, as I think through it, I'm like, yeah, okay, how would it be different? Yeah, I'd said, yeah, what I said was not appropriate. But it's like, it's so hard. The thing is that I'm watching the agents and their response, and never underestimate the power of complacency. Because only one of those agents really looked like he was on his game.
Really? Because I don't see any of them that are on their game.
Well, the one that pulled his gun out as the guy was approaching and got shot point blank for it.
Pulled his gun out and aimed at the floor?
Well, I mean...
Look, I'm appalled by this, and I want to be upfront about this. It says a lot about our nation that we now have the president with the most attempted assassinations, unsuccessful ones, against him. The others, most of the record up to this point was 2. Now we have 3. Now that does not include plots that were foiled before they ever got underway. George Bush, I guess, holds the record for that. But actual attempts that were unsuccessful, this is now the 3rd.
Yeah.
Now, we have reached a point in our nation where not only do we have that issue, but we have the issue of the people who are pissed off because it didn't work. The brewer up in Milwaukee who's crying now on social media because the Secret Service contacted him about his posts about offering free beer day on the day that Trump gets assassinated.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up. You can go look at it yourself. He's crying now because he doesn't think that the Secret Service should be contacting him over this. It's just a First Amendment issue to him. I'm not that guy that believes that this was staged so that Trump could go out and say, this is why we need a ballroom. But then again,
it's kind of hard to say that it's not a possibility.
Well, here's what bothers me about the video. Where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Are you going to convince me that this hotel in Washington, which by the way is the same hotel where Ronald Reagan got shot, are you going to convince me that that's the only video that they have of that? They showed me all kinds of video of this guy walking around through the gym and the hallways, and now all of a sudden we don't get to see him go down. We don't get to see off to the right what happens. Who stopped this guy? Because it clearly was nobody in that video. The whole thing is just bizarre to watch. From the dog, which obviously knew that this guy was a problem.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there about why was he going into that closet. I don't think that's a closet. I don't have a floor plan, but it looks to me like it's a hallway, that's not a closet door. That's a hallway door. And it's also where the 3 TSA agents who quickly decided that, this is not my line of work here.
Yeah.
That's where they exited too. So,
which should tell you something about the TSA.
Yeah. Well, it should also tell you that that's a hallway, not a closet. But I've watched that video 100 times. And of course, the first few times we watched it, it was like, what was pissing me off about it then was we sent the New Horizons probe. How many billions of kilometers, how many billions of miles to the planet Pluto?
Mm-hmm.
We sent a probe, Huygens, to Titan's moon, or to Saturn's moon Titan, and dropped the probe on it. The Soviets sent a probe to Venus, the Venera probe. The pictures from those space probes are clearer than the first videos we were getting of this assassination attempt. What the hell? It turns out, I guess, that there is HD video of it, but for some reason they released the non-HD version of it. And I don't understand. It's like bank. That has me wondering, is that a police tactic? We release a low-resolution video of this just to get what we can? Because I don't know.
Well, so there are some technical things along with releasing HD video, right? So there's the size limitations.
Yeah, I get it.
There's some people just can't accept that large of file. So there's some reasons why. That's why your phone, when you go to send stuff to people, it says, do you want to use this version, the real one, or you want to use a trimmed one? So it's just because of the whole bandwidth and storage and stuff. So there is some plausibility there as to the reason why.
Well, there may be, but I'm not buying it. It doesn't seem like it would take any longer to upload that than it did to release the initial stuff anyway. And like I said, the banks do the same thing. And it confuses me. But anyway, eventually we got the HD video. And I am that guy who I remember when we didn't have HD TV. I remember when we had low-def TV. And nowadays I see stuff that's low-def TV. And I wonder, how the hell did we ever watch this? It's like, I see video of old TV shows, and I was like, oh my God. When I buy a movie on Amazon, it says, do you want this in standard def or high def? I'm like, why are you even selling me standard def? But who's watching that?
Doesn't standard come with a high anyway?
Sometimes, if you buy the DVD, yeah.
Well, I know when I get the streaming videos, because on my computer, because I run Linux in part, I don't get the option of high definition. I can only choose standard definition for all of my videos, Fandango library, everything like that.
There's a reason not to use Linux.
Oh, please.
I'm not watching standard def TV. And I don't want to watch a presidential assassination attempt in low def. I just don't. If I'm going to have to watch this, I want to watch it in high def. And, well, there you go. So eventually we got the high def. And again, I'm baffled by what's going on in this video. Now, look, I'm smart enough to know that what's happening in this video is probably normal operation. I'm sure that things can be explained. What I can't explain and what nobody has explained to us is why the dog triggered on this guy and nobody else did. Mm-hmm. What did that canine officer say to him as he was going down that hallway? Why did he pull that dog back? Those are questions that we don't have answers to.
No.
We don't have answers to why the Secret Service...
That seems a failure, right? That's a failure of protocol, because if the dog is cueing in on something, that should raise their radar.
It should have. That should have immediately attracted the attention of the Secret Service agents who, for whatever reason, looked away. I don't know.
Why have a dog, man?
Yeah.
It's not a pet.
Well, it's not supposed to be. Then you get into the whole event itself. You get into the... you would have thought from the interwebs that the biggest tragedy of this whole thing was the theft of the wine bottles afterwards. Now, again, I thought it was cool that the guy just sat there eating his mashed potatoes. I thought that was pretty funny. But the people taking the wine bottles turned out not to be the people in this broad thing. It turned out to be the person taking the wine bottles. Yeah. It turned out to be a Ukrainian diplomat. Why is a Ukrainian diplomat at the press club's event? That doesn't make any sense. But
those wine bottles had to have been expensive.
They were. They were somewhere on the area of $80 to $90 to $100 each, depending on the... And at one point, she's actually looking at the label to make sure she got the one she wants. That's kind of funny. That doesn't say... That doesn't...
Diplomatic immunity! Diplomatic immunity!
Well, and there's a big old post out there from the guy that... I don't know what to call him. He's the planner, I guess, who puts this thing together for the press club.
Yeah.
The Writers Association. And he was talking about how much each one of these bottles costs. And, now they got to go out and spend all this money again to do this whole dinner again in a month. Which I'm just going to go on record here as saying, I doubt that there are 5 people in this planet who really want to go to this dinner again.
Mm.
I just...
Well, the Ukrainian chick.
Well, yeah.
But she won't be invited.
No, probably not. I would imagine they'll do it on a much smaller scale, too. Then the president goes out and says, this is why we need a ballroom. Which is, of course, what sets everybody on edge, because now all of a sudden you've just fed the trolls on the left about this whole thing was faked.
Yeah.
Now imagine you're this guy that did this, right? You've spent the last how many years of your life just letting hate consume you. Mm-hmm. Letting your entire existence be defined by just incredibly acidic hatred, which has now resolved itself into this road trip that he took and blogged about all the way across country about how the security was, crap in Chicago and everywhere else. And you've planned this moment where you're going to become essentially immortal because nobody's going to ever forget you. Mm-hmm. You completely fuck it up, despite the Secret Service's attempts to apparently let you get away with it, which raised another issue now. Were there insiders in the Secret Service who knew that this was coming? There's the reports from New England somewhere that apparently he sent his manifesto to his family before the attack, and the family went, better call somebody. They called the police in New London or somewhere in Connecticut, and the Connecticut police called the Secret Service and said, hey, you got a guy coming in. Just about the time that the Secret Service agent reaches for his earpiece. Anyway. So you got all this going on, and this guy, imagine you're this guy, and you go through all of this to do this, you completely fuck it up, and now the entirety of the American political far left, the fringe lunatic left, is complaining about you because you failed. They're telling you that you're a miserable failure because you did not succeed.
He's a miserable black man.
Well, he is that. Well, he's half black, right?
Yeah.
That's what he said. So, it just says something about our country.
We did learn something, though. We did learn, in honor of May the 4th coming up, how stormtroopers could have easily got their reputation, considering how many shots were fired by Secret Service and how many hit.
Yeah, that's a little upsetting, isn't it? And then, as if the internet is not enough, with the people complaining about him missing, the teacher going on in Indiana about him missing and getting his job suspended, the bar owner in Wisconsin, where the real Americans live, complaining about, not being able to have free beer day because Trump wasn't murdered. All of that's bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one guy who ought to know better, the one guy who, for everything that's happened, should say to himself, this is probably not an appropriate joke, because it's not even really a joke. Jimmy Kimmel goes on TV and in front of the First Lady says his joke, which I'm not going to repeat here. You can look it up. You can look it up. It's on the internet. It's out there. And then he's surprised when people go, geez, what a douche.
Yeah.
And ABC's reaction to this has been non-existent. I'm surprised that ABC didn't immediately pull him off the air. That shocks me. But
I think it's because of the first case where they pulled him off the air and then had to let him back on for whatever reason.
Who are the sponsors? Because whoever the sponsors are for his show, I'd be, if I were one of them, I wouldn't be anymore, but if I was, I would be calling the producers and going,
what the heck?
Yeah, this is not good. I mean, this is exactly what the left did to Rush Limbaugh, over the Sandra Fluke thing. It wasn't funny. It wasn't a joke. And this is the other problem, is that I have discovered on the internet 2 sites that I am just addicted to now.
Uh-oh.
Clips of the Carol Burnett show and of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And you watch this stuff and you go, how did we go from that to what we have now on the late night?
Hilarious.
It was, you can't even describe it as hilarious because it's so far beyond that. Number one, yes, it's funny.
Yeah.
But it's intelligent.
Yeah.
You have to understand things in order to get the humor. You have to know what's going on in the world. You have to be cognizant of things. It's not just some guy going out on the stage and dropping, 27 F-bombs in 5 minutes and people going, oh, that's funny. You watch the stuff that's on TV now, and since Conan left, I have no interest in it at all. Yeah. Conan had that touch. But
he did. He was hilarious. Understated humor.
Which was Johnny Carson. He got that from Carson. But these guys today, I don't even know why they're on the air. Who's watching this? That's what I can't figure out. Is anybody actually staying up till, 10:30, 11:30 to watch this stuff? Or are they just taping it, DVRing it, and watching it some other time? Because
I know what's happening, because this used to happen in my house, and this has changed. But my wife, who I love dearly, has to have the TV on when she falls asleep. So she used to have late night, because she'd watch the news, and then she would fall asleep, but then it would still be on until 12:30 is when she set the timer for. So
she sets the timer. How do you get her to do that? Because my wife won't. I have to get up and turn it off.
There are some days she doesn't, but most of the time she sets the timer. So she would be watching this, and I cringed every time because I'm thinking they're getting the rating information off of this.
Yep. But
then on her trip to Georgia, she got out of that habit because she didn't have a TV in her room. And so now she just has YouTube on and falls asleep to that.
That's even worse. but they get the same rating off the DVR anyway.
Yeah.
So even if you're DVRing it, it counts as somebody watching it. I don't know who's watching late night TV anymore. I really don't. I certainly don't know who's watching Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel has never been funny to me.
No.
He wasn't funny on The Man Show. If it wasn't for Adam Carolla, we wouldn't even know who Jimmy Kimmel was. He's not entertainment to me. And the problem is me going back and watching Carol Burnett and Tim Conway and Harvey Korman.
Oh, God. Their chemistry and their way to make each other laugh and break character was
hilarious. Which is a contest. They're trying to do that. It's not even like Saturday Night Live where they just can't get through it because it's funny when Saturday Night Live was funny. They have a standing $50 bet every time they break each other up. Corman and Conway do. So, and even when Corman got his Emmy Award finally, do you ever see that clip where he finally gets an Emmy Award for the Burnett Show or whatever?
I may have, but it's been a while.
So he goes up on stage to get his thing, and as he's standing there, Tim Conway comes up behind him and just stands there and stares at him. And gets him to break. It's awesome. So, I don't know. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my question remains. If this wasn't, as the left is saying now, a false flag operation that failed just to get a ballroom, if it wasn't that, what would they have done any differently? Because what I'm seeing in that video, and again, I acknowledge the fact that we're not seeing the rest of it.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. Why aren't we seeing the rest of it? That part makes me think there isn't a Secret Service agent on the planet that's competent. I mean, think about what's happened here with Butler,
mm-hmm.
the other guy in the golf course, right? and now this. You almost sit here and go, well, it's like the Secret Service isn't even trying. But then again, I know that there's more to this video that we're not seeing, and why aren't they showing me that? Which is what makes me that part is the part that says, oh, maybe that's the part. They don't want you to see the competent part, because the competent part would make you go, we don't really need a ballroom. We've got a Secret Service.
So that's the other play, right? Hindsight, right? Okay, how can we spin this?
Right.
This happened, but we need to spin it now.
Well, you know what they say. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
I was informed this week that I am not in the league. I am not even in the same league as Jasmine Crockett.
Okay. I didn't realize there was a league for her.
She's one of the 535 most powerful people in the world. So who am I to even think that I'm in the same league as she's in, that I'm at the same level of whatever as she is? That's what she informed us on TV.
Well, when you're patting yourself on the back to stand on top of the little people, it doesn't really look very
Didn't she just lose an election, though?
She did.
To a pro-transgender fake preacher that is telling us that the gospel of the gospel of something is telling us that we have to be transgender in order to get to heaven. Didn't she lose to that guy? Can you imagine how screwed up you have to be to lose to that? But she did. But she explained that she's one of the 535 most powerful people in the world. And that consequently, she doesn't have to pay any attention to what you little people, including me, have to say, which just goes to prove to me that she she's never actually read the Federalist Papers, probably not the Constitution either. But it's, again, how did we get here as a nation? Not only do we make fun of a presidential assassination failure, but we've reached a point now where a sitting congressperson believes that makes them better than everyone else.
She's so influential that she has stated her future plans, her political plans include launching a roadshow to elect political allies.
Yeah. See, and if I'm that political ally, aren't you just kind of saying, yeah, don't. We have a scheduling conflict, kind of like having Megan Thee Stallion show up for Kamala, right? Can't believe that didn't put her over the top. Jesus. So, yeah, I don't know where the hell she got this from, but apparently she thinks she's important. On the other hand, she's not AOC, who's explaining to us this week that rivers were on fire because of climate change.
I missed that one. So what was that?
I don't know. She's just given some interview where she's explaining that we have to do all this climate change stuff, the Green New Deal, which of course Trump is doing away with. So that makes him Hitler. And if people have forgotten that rivers were on fire because of climate change. Apparently that happened during World War XI, because I don't remember it happening outside of that.
I mean, you can drop a nuke or two, rivers will burn.
Well, but they didn't. That's the whole point. Even when they dropped nukes, they didn't burn. But during World War XI, as we all know, climate change was a major factor. Climate change and transgender bias were major factors in why World War XI happened. It's, if Hitler hadn't hated the transgenders. Did she say 11?
She did.
Not AOC. Ilhan Omar said during World War XI, blah, blah. You didn't see this?
I didn't see this. World War XI? Oh my God. 11. Learn some Roman numerology.
Well, I mean, all right. I'll be the first to admit English is not the most, conversational, nor is it the most commonsensical of languages, but I don't see how you get to be a congressperson in the United States like Ilhan Omar. Well, I do see it actually without understanding this, but at the same time, did no one on her staff check that first? Or is that person who didn't check that was supposed to no longer on her staff?
Are they all Somalis? Because that can explain some things.
I would bet a lot of them are, but I don't know. It's just one of those conspiracies.
Not that they're dumb; they're just not necessarily educated in.
Well, look, I'll be the first to say pronunciations of words. As I've often said, my French pronunciation of French words is very touché. But at the same time, you run into this situation where if you're giving a speech to somebody, you should really know if you're on tape saying something, you might want to make sure you know.
In this day and age.
Yes.
In this day and age. There's going to be videos. There's going to be audio.
Yeah. I cannot tell you how many times I've said to my computer, how do I pronounce this word? And then said, are you sure? Because I'm not sure that it's sure, to be honest with you. And there are times when the difference between the word affect and effect. And
Dave, you're just such a Neanderthal.
It's Neanderthal, and don't you forget it. As we all know, the Neanderthals won World War XI by beating the Homo sapiens.
After they were brought back genetically and cloned.
By Australopithecus. I've been watching, okay, nobody cares, but I've been watching Nova. PBS's Nova lately. I don't send them any money because I pay taxes, but I do like PBS.
Well, they're not getting any money anymore, right? I mean, any tax money.
Nova is one of those shows that I rarely miss, and I've been watching a show that has an anthropologist on it. Anthropologist
in HD.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Because it's PBS. They have HD cameras. Anyway, been watching this show, and she's fascinating. And I'm looking at her name and pronunciations and the languages. She's just like, who is this? So I go look her up, right?
Yeah.
Turns out she is English, but she's an English immigrant. She's a Muslim immigrant to England as a little girl who went to college solely because she was Muslim and she wanted to prove science wrong.
Okay.
That's why she went to college in England.
And so she became a scientist?
And she became a scientist. She was like, yeah, this makes sense to me. And so now she does this, and she's fascinating. It's not only that, she's hot as hell. But anyway, the bottom line is...
You got to send me a pic later.
Yeah. She's pretty. Anyway, and I'm sure she understands the difference between World War II and World War XI, which last time I checked, we haven't I'm not one of these people that thinks what we call World War II is actually World War II. I think that's actually World War IV. So I'm willing to go beyond that and say, well, you know,
okay.
Eventually we'll get to 11.
What number would you think we are?
We are what?
What number of World War are we
I think we've had 4 World Wars.
Okay.
But we had the French and Indian War, what we call the 7 years, what we call the French and Indian War, they call the 7 Years' War. That was a world war. You have the American Revolution, Napoleonic Wars, which were clearly a world war. You have the Great War of 1914 to 1918. You could argue 1910 to 1918, World War I, and then you have the war from 1936 to 1945, which we call World War II. It's actually the 4th one so far.
Okay.
So we could eventually reach World War XI. But when we do reach World War XI, the question is, where will the World Cup be? Because apparently Governor Hochul of New York thinks that the World Cup is New York City.
Really?
This is what she has said. The World Cup.
New York City.
New York City is the World Cup. That's a quote. New York City is the World Cup, even though not a singular game is being played in New York City, or New York for that matter.
No.
But she informed us that without New York, there would be no World Cup.
Because I think most of the stadiums they're playing in, and I don't know the entire list, but a lot of them are closer to the Mexican border.
Well, there's Atlanta, and there's Giant Stadium in New York, and the stadium in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is not the Georgia Dome, it's not whatever. Did you see where they're having to cover the logo on the stadium? Because FIFA doesn't like their sponsor. FIFA wants only their sponsorships. So even though even though you're Mercedes-Benz and you paid for the stadium naming rights, during the World Cup game, you can't call it the Mercedes-Benz Georgia Dome. You have to call it whatever, the FIFA stadium. I assume they're doing that here with Lumen Field, but nobody up here is paying attention to it.
I would think that if you paid for the naming rights of the stadium, that you'd be pissed about that.
I would assume you'd be pissed about it too, but at the same time, they are German, right? Mercedes-Benz is German. How is a German automaker of that gravitas not already a sponsor of FIFA?
I don't know. The Bundesliga. I don't know.
I would assume so, right? But I don't know. Anyway, they were having to cover that up. Like I said, I assume they're doing that over at Lumen Field, but I don't actually know. I haven't. Who's texting me and why? Oh, my glucose is high. Sorry. This means that thing will be going off here in a minute. I assume that they're doing that over there, but I don't know. So, but anyway, you'll be happy to know that New York Governor Hochul, who was the same person begging millionaires to come back to New York.
After she said she didn't care if they were leaving originally.
Like the Seattle mayor this week who said, oh, billionaires are leaving? Bye.
Yeah.
And then refused to answer questions from reporters. Ran away, had her staff stick
while it was on
while it was live
recording.
on TV. Right,
yeah. And the reporter's like, well, hey, you're supposed to talk to us. What's going on?
Yeah, it doesn't look good when she doesn't answer the questions, he says, and that part makes the internet. So anyway, I couldn't believe she said. I can believe that she said that, but at the same time, I guess that's the biggest difference between politicians of my youth and politicians today. even if Tip O'Neill thought that, he would never have said it. These people today, they have no filter. They have no, they're like Jimmy Kimmel. They think that everything that they have to say is, you know, important and meaningful, and it's not. And boom, she looks like a fool right now. Both her and Hochul look like fools, but you know what's sad is the same people that voted for them, they do it again. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
One of the little-known Dave Diamond facts is I am absolutely fascinated by religious cults.
Okay.
I have no idea why. I think it's because I grew up in such a offbeat faith, a faith that oftentimes was accused of being a cult, the Salvation Army.
And then you lived in Utah.
And then I lived in Utah. Yes. Yes. Then I lived in Utah. I think that has something to do with it because it probably started as an effort to prove that we're not a cult. And so in order to do that, you have to understand what a cult is and blah, blah, blah. And as I sit here today, I would say to you that the Salvation Army is not a cult. But I would also say to you that basically every church in the world has cultish behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And they should be cautious about that. But they don't always go to the extreme that some cults do. You with me here?
I'm with you.
So they're not, drinking Kool-Aid. They're not killing themselves because they think the comet's going to pick them up or not the comet, but the spaceship hiding in the comet and blah, 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 blah. They're not handing out flowers at the airport, which was a funny joke back in the 70s, but nobody understands now. So anyway, I think perhaps the most fascinating of all these cults, for me, now I'm not saying it is for you, what I'm saying is for me, the most fascinating of all these cults is the Scientology cult.
Is it now?
Now, the reason for that is because L. Ron Hubbard, the man who founded this cult, is a brilliant science fiction writer. He wrote Battlefield Earth, and if you're judging Battlefield Earth by the John Travolta movie, don't, because that movie was bad. The book is fantastic. The book is one of those books that I read every 3 to 5 years. Okay. Just because it's such a great, sweeping, incredible story. And it's believable. Set in the future, in the year 3000, and this alien race has come and conquered Earth, and Earth has to fight back. And it's also patriotic because the guy that's fighting it back is, of course, in North America. He's American. He doesn't know that, but he's American. And he discovers the Air Force Academy at Colorado Springs, and basically says to himself, well, I guess I'm the last U.S. Air Force, whatever. He doesn't even know what that means, but he uses that as motivation so it's very patriotic. And anyway, he wrote that book, and it's a huge book, by the way. It's, like that as a paper.
I don't think I've ever read it.
Oh, it's just great. Anyway, but then he turns around and founds Dianetics, the Scientology cult, which of course is I call it the cult of Hollywood, because it's all the Hollywood people are involved.
There's a lot of money to be made.
There is a lot of money, and it's a pyramid scheme. Yeah. So if you join the Scientology church, you pay to join, and then you have to pay for the next level of auditing or whatever it is that they call it, lessons. And then you have to pay for the next one and pay for the next one and pay for the. Someone said on one of these shows that I was watching, it's close to $1 million before you ever get to close to being at the top of the show, the ladder. So it's a money-making pyramid scheme, which
really high up there. It's really hard to reach.
Right.
You got to be really tall to reach that.
Which Tom Cruise is not. There is proof that L. Ron Hubbard knew that this was a scam, and that he basically said the only way to make money in America is to run a church. So he invented his own church, and he got people to believe this stuff about the alien planets, the aliens coming.
He was a really good writer.
He was, and then he got kids involved with it, and then he got all this stuff, and then jumping forward, and there's so many great documentaries about it out there that you can go watch. I'm not going to try to. The best one is the one with Leah Remini, because she was in the church. She was raised in the church, and so it would be like me making a documentary about the Salvation Army. Am I part of it now? No, but I was there, and I know what I'm talking about. So same kind of thing. Well, long story short, somehow or another, Tom Cruise got involved in this. Now, I'm not clear if he was raised in it or if he was recruited to it, converted, whatever. But Tom Cruise became a Scientologist, or is a Scientologist. And Tom Cruise is probably the focal point of Scientology because it is a well-known and well-established fact that multiple times the church has intervened to provide him with a girlfriend, a suitable girlfriend, because a relationship ended. You with me here? The church is arranging his relationships because they don't want him to be alone and whatever. And of course, we are all familiar with his meltdown or weird thing when he was jumping up and down on the couch and that kind of stuff. So everything around this is Tom Cruise, which sucks because I kind of like Tom Cruise as an actor. I enjoyed the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
I liked Top Gun. It wasn't my favorite movie, but I liked Top Gun. I like some of the stuff he's been in, and I'm willing to accept him as an action actor until you realize how short he is. And, the fact that,
and how old he's getting.
Well, there is that.
He's starting to show his age.
Well, there's Leonardo DiCaprio, too, but he stays young by finding the...
Wow. Is he not living the character in Wolves of Wall Street?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So at any rate, Tom Cruise, of course, has become the focal point of Scientology because L. Ron Hubbard, as it turns out, is dead. Even though he was supposed to be resurrected and come back or something, but he hasn't. So Tom Cruise, of course, he's not the leader. A fellow by the name of David Miscavige is actually the leader of the Scientology church, but everything kind of revolves around Tom Cruise. So people have decided that, I guess, they want to talk to Tom Cruise, and they think, for reasons that are bizarre to me, because cults bring out the best in everyone, that if they just go to the Scientology building, any Scientology building, anywhere, but probably Hollywood, Tom Cruise will be there and ready to meet with them. Kind of far-fetched, but, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy, but if that's what you believe, then it's a free country. You're free to believe it.
Yeah.
What you are not free to do is trespass on these buildings so that you can find Tom Cruise to talk Scientology with him. So what they have done, these groups have done, is they've hit on this new thing, which is a word that I would never have known if it were not for my 16-year-old son, who plays Minecraft.
Okay.
And does speed running in Minecraft.
Yeah, it's a video game term.
Right.
Because they do speed runs in World of Warcraft for dungeon crawls and stuff like that.
And he constantly talks to me about this speed running. Oh, I did the speed run, and this guy does speed runs, and there's a guy on YouTube that does speed runs, and you know he's cheating because there's video clips and so it's an actual term. So these people have taken this, and what they do is they run up to the Scientology building and they run inside. And the Scientology building, I guess like a Mormon temple, has different levels and different layers, and it's harder and harder to get in deeper and higher in the building. And so the speed run is how high can you get before they catch you and toss you out. You with me?
I'm following you.
So they've been doing this for quite some time. The Scientologists, of course, are not happy about this, and they are condemning this as trespassing, which it is. I'm not going to argue. Look, just because I don't buy your bullshit religion doesn't mean that I don't think you have a right to practice it. Just don't try to make me do it.
Yeah.
So these people are annoying us. So since this has gone downhill now, since they're being criticized for this,
okay,
they have decided to do something else. Well, they're still doing the speed running, but now they're using little people. What we would call, in the real world, before everybody got woke and offended, what we would call midgets.
Or dwarf from the Carol show.
From Tim Conway. Exactly. So yesterday, or day before yesterday, some guy walks into the area of the Scientology building with 20 midgets, little people, with signs that say, "Where's Tom Cruise?" Opens the door and says, "Go!" And the midgets, little people, go charging into the Scientology building. And of course, unlike the Secret Service, there's video of all of this. High-def video, by the way. Although it's shot like something out of Blair Witch Project, so we have videos now of midgets.
No motion stabilization.
No. Of midgets charging into the Scientology building.
So what do you do if you're security? Do I toss this guy? Am I dwarf tossing?
We already got speed running, now we're dwarf tossing.
It's on video.
If I do this, am I going to be hated because I tossed the dwarf? Are they going to dox me? All I know is this, Rod. All I know is I cannot believe how fascinated I am watching these little people charge into the Scientology. I don't believe in Scientology, okay? I'm just going to put that on record. Scientology is, there's a technical term for it. What is it? Oh, yeah, bullshit. But
if only they yelled, "For Frodo!"
But somehow or another getting midget. Who's the guy that talked these midgets into doing this? And how did he do it? Did he pay them?
He probably paid them and said, "Hey," because he's going to make bank on how many
on
views
the video, right?
Videos.
Right. At least 100 of which are mine. Because I can't stop watching it. It may be my new favorite thing on the internet, watching midgets run into speed run a Scientology building.
That needs to be a channel. They need to do that to other places.
Oh, God. Midgets speed running.
Not the media, not the presidential media.
Okay, so the next time there's a big, writers club dinner and the president's speaking, have midgets run through. I mean, the possibilities
here, speed run, Dave.
The possibilities here are endless. The Pope? I mean, what's the Pope going to do about it, right? I wouldn't recommend doing it to Putin, but... And if it's G, you could have them all dressed up in Winnie the Pooh costumes.
Oh, man.
That would be awesome.
That would be their last time.
Yeah, I don't know why this is so funny to me. I really don't, but I can't stop watching it. And I just like, this is amazing. And of course, it's not having any effect on Scientology at all. And insofar as I'm aware, they did not find Tom Cruise. Although, it's very possible that Tom Cruise escaped with the midgets, because who would know? Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
I am 62 years old, headed to 63. And there are days when I say to myself, Rod, look, I'm retired. I don't have to do anything. I say that to people. People say, what are you doing? And I say, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, you tell me all the time, you should try retirement. Yeah,
great.
Thanks. Thanks, Dave.
It's great. You should try it. And then I sit down in front of a microphone and I think, functionally, I feel every bit as good as I did when I was 30 doing this, and 35, 40, 50. But I'm 62. Should I still be doing this?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? That's a good question. Why not? Like most people my age, I remember when MTV became a thing. Mm-hmm. I remember it very, very well. I remember going over to a friend's apartment because I lived in the barracks at the time and watching MTV for hours. Yeah. Hours, people.
Music videos were awesome.
They were terrible. They were absolutely atrocious. Some of the worst. The idea of syncing video to music, what had not occurred to them yet. There's the famous one is M's Pop Music, one of the earliest videos. Visually, it's a very good video. Musically, it's good song. Together, it's like they just said, sync the music to the lips. Why would we do that? It's horrible. You can't watch it.
But it gave birth to Michael Jackson's videos and Thriller and stuff like that.
And it became a thing. And one of the groups that was there, because they were there before, like Tom Petty and some of these groups that did, music videos very well. But the B-52s started in the late 70s, as I recall, Rock Lobster. And this was that punk rock new wave. I remember listening to it on the radio. I remember listening to it on the 8-track. It was fun. It was interesting. It was stupid, but it was cool. And then they started doing videos. And as far as I know, they did, 2 or 3 videos? Rock Lobster. Roam if you want to, roam around the world. And then they did this song called Love Shack, which is their big hit. Love Shack was one of those songs that 40 years ago drove me nuts because I couldn't understand the lyrics. Still, 40 years later, don't know what the lyrics are. There's a line in there where where Fred Schneider says, "Yo, what?" Everything stops. And then somebody says, I have no idea what they're saying. None. I didn't know then. I don't know now. Okay? And yes, I'm smart enough to know the lyrics are probably on the internet somewhere. But it's just one of those things that I think I'm better off not knowing. Because no matter what those lyrics are, Rod, I'm going to be disappointed, right? They're not going to be some deep philosophical idea. They're not going to be some funny line. I don't know what it says, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to know. It's just like the 81 World Series. I've never seen a pitch of the 81 World Series, but in my head, I've seen the whole thing. And anyway, so the B-52s do this. The B-52s are making waves this week because apparently they're still doing shows, and they are well into their 80s now. And they are still doing shows. And video of their last show in Las Vegas is making the rounds on the interwebs. And how do I put this politely? Oftentimes at 62, I think to myself, should I still be doing this? And the answer to the B-52s at 80, should they still be doing this, is no. They should not still be doing this. And yet, people are still forking over money to go see them play. And it is just bad.
Yeah.
Schneider is clearly mailing it in.
Yep, it was on autopilot.
It's not as bad as the Frankie Valli. They're still running him out there. That guy, he looks like an automaton at Disneyland, but they're still running him out there. And then the heartbreaker, the absolute tearjerker heartbreaker. Look, I was in my early 20s in the 1980s, and along came Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
We did this video. It was a cover of a song, I Think We're Alone Now, and they filmed significant portions of that video in my hometown of Ogden, Utah. If you watch the original video for it says Ogden City Mall. It's my hometown. What?
I just did closed captioning on the Love Shack, baby. After your what?
Yeah.
Tin roof rusted.
What?
Tin roof rusted is what it said.
I don't even know what that means.
I'm going to have to watch a few more and look at the lyrics or something.
The hell does that even mean? See, this is what I was talking about. I didn't want to know.
It doesn't make any sense because now you're going to be like, what?
Now I got to spend the rest of my life spinning it going, what the hell did they mean by that? Anyway, Tiffany was a cute little young gal, but she was also, what's the word for it? Resistant to the idea of being forced to be what the music industry wanted her to be. And so she ended up doing a Playboy spread in the mid-'80s that was, I'll admit it, I mean, back in those days, sure, I bought the magazine. She was hot. And as bad as the B-52s look, dear God, Tiffany, don't. See, you've taken everything that was in my head at 62 going, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this, I have this pleasant memory, and you've now overlaid that with that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a magazine somewhere that might.
I think we're alone now. I keep looking at that going, I wish we were alone now because I don't want to see this. And people are paying for this. That's the part I don't get. Who's paying to see the B-52s or Tiffany? Who says, hey, look, Tiffany's coming in Vegas. We got nothing else to do. Let's go see that. Why? I don't know, man. I still want to see the Stones, but there's a part of me that says, you know what? They can't be as good as they were 40 years ago.
Yeah,
can't be as good as they were 60 years ago. Right. One of them's dead. So, same with Rush. I mean, they hired this new drummer gal. It's like, at what point do you just say, you know what? I've made my millions. I've made my mark. I've said everything that I had to say. And I guess for me, that's the key. You're going to hear on Tuesday some new ideas, some things that I have learned. And it's like, I guess as long as I'm learning something,
yeah,
then I can keep going. But if it ever gets to the point where I'm just sitting here like this, kind of going, well, Rod, how was your week?
That'll never happen, Dave, because we are gollyards.
I sure hope it doesn't happen because, you know, if I did have to happen that way, then somebody would have to yell, tin roof! And I wouldn't know what the hell they were talking about. And there you go. They should quit. I don't understand why they're still doing this.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
It can't have been the headliner, though. It had to have been just a group of older bands.
Well, here's what's going to make the internet next. You ready? One of them's going to die on stage, whether it's Tiffany or Fred or somebody's going to, or Frankie Valli, somebody's going to keel over on stage and die. And then we're going to have this whole discussion about should older just like drivers, should older people be allowed to drive? Probably not. Should older singers be allowed to sing?
I love my dad. I love my dad. He's like 85. He may or may not listen to this. So if you're listening, Dad, I love you. But sometimes when I'm driving with you, you scare the heck out of me. And you're teaching people. You're teaching students how to drive.
Well, you know what they say. Tin roof rusted. And on that note, I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And this has been a Tom Cruise episode of
What the Frock?
So grab your frock and come aboard. This nonsense can't be ignored. We joke, we gripe, we spin, we sing while Rome burns on. We'll do our thing. What the frock is going on here? We may not know, but still we cheer. Raise your voice, your glass, your brow, because the frock is happening now.